We could. It looks like it's freezing just a little bit of delay. So I'm not gonna look at that screen. But I'm Chandra Lake, and I am here today with one of my newest persons that I've met that I am so impressed with. And this is Mr. Walter Williams, and this is a conversation with the HUD consultant. So we're going to go through some questions, get to know him a little bit. Again, I'm Chandra Lake. I'm a mortgage loan officer with Nexa Mortgage. I'm also a realtor, and I'm also an insurance agent. So if you need to protect your assets, feel free to reach out. I do it all. So hi, how are you today, Mr. Williams?
I am doing wonderful, Miss Lake. Hope everything's you.
It is going well. It's a Saturday, and I've already got my coffee kind of late. But it's pretty hot here and humid. And so this is a wonderful way to spend indoors, talking about business, right?
Absolutely. I'd rather be out there making calls, but that's going to happen later, so I'm good. Just
Okay.
Now that the heat and humidity is not too bad. It's not.
Okay, yeah. So we'll talk about that because you are in the field. You're out in the field a lot. So I'm pretty sure you don't spend a lot of time behind a computer. Uh, right? So you're out in the anyway. Let's get started. So again, I have my special guest. He is an actual HUD consultant. And if you don't know what that is, he's going to tell you a little bit about that. But starting off, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and how you got started in your field and the business?
Well, look, again, thank you for having me. I'm, like you say, I'm a HUD 203K consultant, and I've been in the residential construction field going on 30 years in November. I sink my teeth in being a residential designer. And when the crash hit back in 2005, I had to pivot. So I pivoted into doing home inspections. And I'm still doing that today.
Okay.
But during that time, I'm the type of person that I'm always trying to find new ways of doing things. I know the technology keeps changes and evolving, so I want to keep up with that. So I learned this thing called HUD Consultant back in 2007. So it took me 2 years just to get up to speed. It was like it was a what you call an alternative source of revenue. So I registered and I became a HUD consultant in 2009. But it was just on paper. I didn't do anything. My home inspection business was off the chain in terms of being busy. So it really piqued my interest around 2015 when I started going heavy into it. And I haven't looked back since. So right now, my business is pretty much 50-50 now between home inspections and being a HUD consultant. Mm-hmm. And I love the challenge of being a HUD consultant because, quite frankly, to see a buyer's vision come to life, that is priceless. To take a home they never thought would be turned into worth something, is turned into their home. And that's a very positive feeling for me. So that's just a little bit about me. I am I'm CAP, what they call agent in place specialist. I'm also a certified professional builder designer as well. So I am well versed in anything called home and what the anatomy of a house look like. So, that's just a little bit about myself.
Okay, that's wonderful. So I know you, and I know what a HUD consultant is because we actually worked on a short project together. So I want you to tell the people what a HUD consultant is, what they do, and how does that benefit if they're looking for a home or they already have a home.
Absolutely. Basically, a HUD consultant is a person who is certified by HUD to go and represent them in terms of getting rehabs projects started, so to speak. Look at us as more of a project manager, even though we're not, but that's the closest thing I can compare it to as a project manager. A HUD consultant has a relationship with the lender who's going to facilitate that loan for the borrower. And not only that, we also manage the contractor who's going to do the work. So we more like the middleman. We like what they say, the go-to person, the MacGyver, so to speak. If anything comes up, they call the consultant. like myself to get various questions answered or put out a fire or two. Regardless, we are what they call the middle. Well, we are the middle. We in the heart of any rehab projects.
Okay. Um, okay, so I can talk about a project that was memorable to me. And as a realtor and as a mortgage loan officer, I think there's a market that is untapped because usually when a person goes shopping for a home, they're always looking for something perfect.
Mhm.
They want a perfect home. And depending on the inventory in the area that they're looking at, they may not find it. And so, a lot of times they'll give up. But there is a market where there are homes that may not be perfect. They may be less than what they were qualified for. So that's a benefit, but it's not really, it doesn't have all the features that they were looking for. And so I've always just been excited to talk about things like the 203K. And I hope you can talk about that a little bit because they can find a home for less than what they would normally pay for it. And then bring in a loan feature that allows them to pay for the renovations that they want and make it a perfect home. So they're not waiting on a perfect home, searching for months and months for a perfect home, but they're able to make a home their own. So can you tell us about any projects or a time where you had to come in and make a home perfect for someone who had been in the market for a while?
Well, I'll tell you, I have lots of stories. So I'm just gonna just nail it down to a basic, especially to your profession as a realtor. A couple of years ago, when the market was so hot that we don't have to do anything because it was so busy getting people into their homes. Most of the realtors didn't have time to go into this thing called distressed properties because you had a lot of move-in ready inventory. When it went crazy and you put it in a borrower or buyer put in a bid on a home these days, it's like they have to wait in line, but you have like several people making similar offers. And let's face it, it's a seller's market. They're just going to pick the best offer for them, and you're going to be left high and dry. So what I do is what I like to what you call get on the mountaintop, just say something is basically want to say to your profession, realtors, and to one respect, contractors as well. There's an alternative that you can use. Instead of looking at the move-in readies, look at a distressed property. Can you imagine if we find a distressed property in, like, say, Corktown? Everybody like Corktown these days. So if you find a distressed property right outside of Corktown that's within a budget, take that, buy the property, use a rehab loan to rehab that property, and 6 months later, you be in a home of your dreams. So what do you mean by home of your dreams? Basic example is, for the most part, in terms of a distressed property, there are two things that a person will look at. A, whether or not there's water coming in various places. And B, my kitchen looked like it came out the Brady Bunch, 1970s. You got the colors, I love the green colors in the kitchen, everything matching, but it's dated. So you can take a rehab loan, and after what we consider the minimum property standards, we will discuss later, once those things are addressed, like the leaky basement or leaky ceiling, for example, then the rest of that money will go into desirable items. And part of those desirable items is maybe you want to open up that dining room into the kitchen like you see on HGTV. You can do that with a rehab loan. Maybe you want to go take that upstairs and renovate it to like a loft. You can do that with a rehab loan. So the possibilities of using this loan to make a distressed property your home is virtually endless.
That's so good. So good you're saying that. And so realtors, listen, there is a market that's out there. And, honestly, I think a lot of investors are the ones that are taking on the distressed properties and then flipping them and charging double. And so when a client comes in, they're actually paying for someone else's vision and they're paying double for what they would have, been able to do on their own for probably cheaper. As an example, I had a client who, and this was the project you came in on, where she inherited a property from a family member. It was free and clear. She didn't know there was no mortgage on it. And so she was able to use the full amount of her of the rehab or renovation money to, to fix up, her basement. She got new bathrooms, and, she was able to do things that were minor. Can you talk about the difference between, because I think you came in, my project was a limited 203K. But can you talk about maybe the difference between a limited 203K and a full 203K?
Sure, I can help you out with that. The difference between the two is the dollar amount.
Okay.
That's one of the biggest issues. Limited right now is up to 35,000. I know they're looking to increase that. It hasn't happened yet, but it seems like it's on its way from HUD. But that is mostly for desire items. So we talked about a minute ago about getting a kitchen remodeled. You can use it for that. You can use it for that for windows. You can use it for that. If it's anything what they consider non-structural, that would be a perfect model for you to use. And the money you'll save, let's say, for example, let's say you get a call saying that, you know what, I want to get my home refi. This would be a perfect tool to use. Instead of going to Home Depot and getting their charge card and charging up to 30% interest, remodel, refi your house. And you'll get those savings around the same market rates as buying a new home, and that money you can put in your pocket. So those are little things that we can do with that limited loan. And as long as it's not structural, you won't even need me as a consultant, even though I highly recommend you should have one. And let me tell you why. Because here's the thing about it. Even though it's not necessary to have one, if you have a technical issue come up and the contractor, you're not seeing eye to eye on it, you rather have somebody that's going to work for you in order to answer those questions without even bothering the contractor. I could tell you stories that a lot of jobs sink because they don't have, the relationship they have with the contractor, it just escalated into something that they just want to go do something to that person. Let's just say it that way. Because like in any relationship, there's going to be ups and downs. And that's what a good HUD consultant would do, is to temper people's expectations.
Very good, because I couldn't tell you front or back of of certain, these carpentry things. I just don't know. So having a consultant or having someone who is a licensed professional, certified in this area is key. And like you mentioned, structural damage. And is that so? When someone says this house has good bones, is that what they mean? Because I've heard that term before. This house has good bones. What does that? What does that mean?
All the good bones means really in our field, it just means that there's a lot of potential to that property. And let's look at it this way. Look, the example I gave, like Courtown. Those homes is over 100 years old for the most part. So, you go into a property, you feel a creak when you walk through the floors. It doesn't mean that you're going to go through the floors. It just means that house has good bones. It has character. And some of those things need to be tightened up, or something that's okay, well, that's part of the character of the home. I can live with it. But that's what good bones means. That they did not skimpy on workmanship when they built it. They used high quality materials to build it. It's just it got old. So it's time to give it an upgrade, so to speak. So that's what good bones means. It has that potential.
Okay. What advice would you give to someone looking to buy a new home right now? In this market, in this market, yeah. What advice would you give someone?
Okay. I'm gonna be honest. I'm all in on this thing called generational wealth. So if somebody asks me that question, my answer is find you a multi-unit property. Fix that property up. You live in the upper floor, that's up to you, and rent out the vacant one. You don't have to pay your mortgage if you rent it out to that person, or the cost of that mortgage may not be as high as it should if you have a good tenant in that home. That's generational wealth. That's something you can put on your tax statements and saying that that's an earned income. for me. It'll cut down on my coming out of my pocket to pay my mortgage because I have somebody to pay it for me. Generational wealth, you keep more of your money in your pocket. So I would tell a person, and look, even if you're not what you call landlord material, that's okay. You can always buy a home. And I know they don't want to tell you this, but I'm just living in the real world. You can buy that home, stay there for 18 months, sell that home. And you'll get whatever the difference you get versus you first put in it, that's generational wealth because you get to keep it. You can decide to buy another home or use it to pay down bills or go on vacation, however you want to do it. That's generational wealth. That's the potential of it. Because I guarantee you, that's what the investors are doing right now. They are buying multi-unit properties. I inspect them, so I know they buy those properties. They buy those properties in neighborhoods I never thought to have families moving in. And they flipping that property over, they keeping the profits, and they offering an affordable housing solution for those who are looking for it. So how come it could not be this? Okay.
That's so good. That's so good. I actually have a video called Wealth Building, and I talk about house hacking.
Mhm.
And that's exactly what house hacking is. Purchasing a home, you live in a unit, and then you rent out the other amount. Now people feel like they can't do it, but there are, up to 4 units, you can do that with a FHA loan.
Yes.
And your down payment is not 25% as if you were an investor, but it's actually only 3.5%.
Mhm.
Or maybe a little bit more, depending on, where you are. So that's very good advice. Thank you. Again, if you're just coming in or you're catching this in the middle, I am here with my HUD consultant, Mr. Walter Williams of PPD Inspections. And so we're talking about his business and what he does and how he benefits our community. Very easy to work with and professional. So we're going to give you his information at the end of this and also tell you about some events that he has coming up. But I have just a few more questions. So how can a homeowner ensure that they're getting a thorough and accurate home inspection? So if you purchased a home, maybe you're already aware that you always get an inspection. I know there was a period of time where people were foregoing inspections. I can't imagine why anyone would do that. But how can a homeowner ensure that they're getting a thorough and accurate home inspection?
Well, just basically like I would like to recommend to my clients to get 3 quotes from contractors. I do the same thing with any trade. So the home inspector, you don't have to go use me. You know, I would love to, but you don't have to use me. Get you 2 more people, call them, vet them, ask them questions. Ask them questions. How long have you been in doing this? Do you have any referrals? What are your credentials? That's very important because, let's call it what it is. I've been in here long enough to know that I am not the cheapest one you're going to find. Just being honest. Because at the end of the day, I'm backed by my experience in terms of doing it for almost 30 years. However, I'm not the most expensive either. So I know a lot of people like to go towards my affordability. So, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I will ask you this question. Right now, I guess the average price for a house is right now, I think it's over $100,000. So for the money you're going to pay for a home inspector, don't you want to get the report that's going to either say, this is the property for me, or this is not the property? Because that's the difference between a good inspector and a not so good inspector. One of the things I like to say or use a lot is, let's go back to our example with the investors. When I go out to inspect the property and they renovated that property and they think that this is the house of their dreams, they come to find out that the foundation was painted over, but there was some issues with the foundation. Typical inspector probably not would go deeper to see what may cause this. Because I do an inspection and I go into the basement and it's painted. That's why I put my detective hat on and say, you know what, something may not be right with this. I know that's cynical, but you're about to invest six figures into your dream home, regardless of the situation. You want somebody to have your back. There's homes I inspected that were quote unquote move-in ready, but yet the foundation was bone in. And you wouldn't have known that unless you had a experienced inspector inspecting to look for things like that. When you see stains on a wall, on a foundation wall, that's an evidence of moisture. Doesn't mean it could have been a leak that could have happened 10 years earlier. We don't know. But when I say contractors paint a foundation, they doing what the work orders entail, but they may not address the water issue. So an experienced inspector, we're trained to look for things like that. And not only that in the foundation, but throughout the attic space, the roof line, whatever you want to call it. A good home inspector is your best ally, especially when you have people out here, sellers out here that they say, you know what, you don't need a home inspector. I got 5 more people want to buy this property. Just buy the property. Even though that's the day and age where we live in, it's not something we cannot overcome. Even if you call me after the fact, you can use a rehab loan to fix repairs if need be. So it's just an option. It's just a way we can do that. So that's what I would just say. Just vet the home inspector like you would anybody else in the trade, and go with the one that you're comfortable.
Okay. You said something, and no offense to anyone if you've done this or you have a house like this, but stucco on the ceilings always give me a red flag, and I don't know why. But I feel like stucco on the ceilings in 2024 is like like hiding something. Like you mentioned stains, or was there a leak that has a stain and now they're stuck on the ceilings? That's why I'm not like in the field like that, because all my clients would have red flags because I give them to them. So thank you. This is really good inspection. I can't stress it enough. And sometimes I know with new homes, and there's actually a guy trending right now. People, these construction companies hate him because he goes into new build homes, and he finds all the errors that they've done. Because I know with new homes, a lot of times they'll tell you don't need an inspection because it's a brand new home, right? And so I think even in that case, you should be considering.
Look at it this way, and a good home inspector. We need to understand, a good home inspector, you're going to pay a little more. I'm just being honest. It doesn't mean you're going to get, that's why I recommend you interview 3, so you be comfortable with the one that you're going to go with. Good inspectors know what to look for. I hear this a lot, that especially those on social media, that it'll take hours to inspect the property, which it can take. But if you know what you're looking for, and what I look for, I'll be honest with you, when I do an inspection, the one thing I look for more than anything else is moisture. Where is it coming from? Whether it's moisture in the basement, whether it's moisture in the attic space. Where is it coming from? Because it's going to create a mold situation. So a good inspector would determine whether or not that you may have to get it further evaluated, further tested. Things like that, even though you probably found a home in your dreams and you thinking about how you're going to paint, what color paint you're going to use, a good home inspector would take away that anxiety of knowing that my house is in good shape. I can fix other stuff once I'm in my house, but at least the good bones is in good shape.
Okay, very, very good information. So here is the exciting part. You have an event coming up, and I'm going to put it on the screen. And I want you to, share a little bit more about it. And there are information on here how to contact and register for the events. And so maybe you can talk about what you have coming up.
All right. Very, very good. As you can tell, well, as you can see on that screen, one of the things I noticed during my travels as a HUD consultant is when I talk to realtors, or I talk to some lenders, or just talk to people off the street, they tell you that their number one concern is finding quality contractors. That's their number one. I listened to my clientele, and it just dawned on me because on my roster, I have several contractors on my roster that if you get the right contractor, it's like getting a good consultant, good realtor. That's something you're going to use the next time you have a renovation. So, but also what I also noticed is, as far as a realtor, they may have anxiety about contractors. I'll just be honest. They dealt with contractors, and there's a lot of stories about them. So we here to rebuke those things. So one of the things I learned and noticed that the contractors on my roster, I want to educate. The same education I received when I was in school, and they received it too. But there's nothing wrong to get up on current events about what's the trend, and so this what came to being. This what was born. The workshop, we have this is going to be the third year doing this. And basically what it is the contractors on my roster will come down to spend a couple of hours, and me and other professionals will talk to them about why this product could be a generational wealth generator for themselves, but also learn the latest trends on a perspective from a lender or realtor or consultant, learn perspectives so they can take it back with them, and they can have a better understanding of what the process is all about. So as you can see on the flyer, on July 27th, we're going to have a session. We call it. It's a workshop. It's a session. And it's very important especially to my realtor friends, to come so you can see firsthand what type of, what do the contractors that on my roster go through in terms of getting them to become the best contractors that's going to benefit your client. So this is what it's all about. It's only a couple of hours. It's not going to take a lot of your time, but I guarantee you, and I have testimonies from those who attend previous ones, the information there is valuable. It's priceless, basically, because they can go back to their office and say, you know what, I know contractors I can go to, and they're going to do right by you, instead of the other way, which is, well, you don't want that. You're about to spend a lot of money in your dream home. You want to have quality contractors to do the work so you could be comfortable once you get the keys to the project. So this is what this is all about. Because I do my travels again. This is beneficial to any realtor who want to know anything about the rehab loan process. It's not like it was when it first rolled it out years ago. This is a refined product. We have lenders like Sandra here, that her company, Next Mortgage, they do these things. We have other mortgage companies that do it. Now, I know big banks like Chase and Bank of America, well, they don't do that yet. It's on its way, but they don't do it yet. But we have lenders that specializes in this product. They would be on hand as well. And so the whole purpose is an informational session, is a laid back, kick back, relaxed session by industry experts, just telling them their story about what can a rehab loan can do for you. So I cordially invite each and every one of you to attend this free event. Look, it's it's a couple of hours. It's going to be at 20011 Grand River Avenue, our gathering place. And I guarantee you, if you scan the QR code or go to the website and register, two things going to happen. One, you're going to a free event that we're going to feed you, so you can go back home full. But two, if you scan now, between now and that time, you'll be put into a drawing that you'll win $100 just by signing up. So those are two. There's a lot more, but there's two incentives for you to attend this event. And again, this is not just, even though the contractors is for them, they need to see who is the potential clients of theirs. They need to see that. Realtors need to see this. to see that there are a lot more reputable contractors out there than what you see on Fox News and one of those channels about the, problem solving kind of things. I cordially invite you to attend this event. And if you have any questions for me, my contact information is on the scan QR code or go to the website, which is www.newdecadenewhome.com.
So you heard it from Mr. Williams himself, Mr. Walter Williams, on July 27th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. We want to see you there. If you're in lending, if you're a real estate agent, if you're a title agent, investors, if you're a contractor, come out to this event. Again, it's a free event. I also heard if you register between now and he said by the time of the event, but get in there early. So register now. You're eligible to win, what, $100 you said?
Yeah, $100.
So free money. Education. If you are on the fence and you're not sure how to broach this subject with your clients, if you're a realtor, you should come so that you can help widen up the opportunities of purchasing a home for your buyers. Again, July 27th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. And this is going to be at our gathering place on Grand River. The address is 20011 Grand River Avenue. And so I'm going to post this, some throughout the rest of this month as well, Mr. Williams, for you. I'll have it on my website. I might pin it as well. So that if you're interested, you can scan the code and come in. So thank you so much for sharing this. Again, I am excited. Like, this product, I feel is not utilized enough in our community. And I think it's because people are not aware of it. And even though I didn't necessarily, bring you here to talk about the 203K, but to talk about your business, I think like the 203K products, I never heard of it until I came into lending. Like, it wasn't something I heard of. And so it's an opportunity for our community to get into a home of their dreams. And there are some beautiful homes on the outside that are tore up on the inside, but you have the ability to fix it up and make it your own. Your dream kitchen, your dream bathroom, your finished basement, all these things you're able to do. So I just have maybe just one last question that you're free to share. When you're not working, how do you like to spend your free time?
Listen, I spend my free time basically by going to my therapist.
Okay.
That's playing golf. That's my therapy. That's my therapy. It's cheap, but it's not cheap, but it's therapeutic. That's the word I like.
Mm-hmm.
I love to travel with my family. We just came back from a family reunion in Alabama last week, and that's my pride and joy in my family. Pride, joy is to see the smiles on their faces and everything. I just celebrated my 35th wedding anniversary, and
hold up, we gotta
yes.
Take a pause. Everybody, come on.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Happy anniversary to you and your wife.
Thank you very much. And my daughters, I'm proud of them. They are energetic, and that's what gives me joy right now. My joy right now is to spend time with my family, go play golf, and just share this wonderful product called Rehab Loans. Because if you just as an inspector, like I said earlier, I don't want to make this a pitch, but I just want to say this is my passion. Mm-hmm. And there's others like me who feel the same way. It's time for us to get in on this thing called generational wealth. So I'm just passionate about it right now. So that's what I do these days. I know some people say I need to slow down, do other stuff, but I'm happy about it.
Don't slow down. You hear that. Don't slow down. So that was wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me today on this interview, sharing your insights. And so I look forward to this upcoming event. I'm going to post it on my page. I'm also going to post this video in several places as well. But if someone wants to contact you individually, and again, we're live on Facebook, so I don't know if there are questions because I'm not watching it. But if there are, maybe I'll shoot them your way, and then we can interact that way. But any last bit of advice that you'd like to give before we close this session?
Well, again, I want to thank you for having me on to just for a few minutes to talk about this thing called rehab loans. The only thing I want to leave to everybody on this feed is basically it's time for us to get the same thing others are getting right now. It's time for us to become investors. It's time for us to put a smile on the family's face. We can save the distressed homes in this area. So let's save it together by fixing it up, rehabbing it. So not only you have a place to stay, but you could bless a family as well. So they can have a place to stay without them worried about the condition of the property or anything like that. Generational wealth.
Amen. Thank you so much. And so I look forward to working with you and going to this event, July 27th. Again, guys, I'll put the link in my video to a actual flyer for you to click on at sometime throughout the day. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you there.